Okay, let's get right to it. Charles Schwab's move into crypto is not just another company adding Bitcoin. It's a seismic shift. We're talking about a move that pulls digital assets from the fringes and drops them right into the heart of mainstream American finance. So today, we're going to break down what this earthquake really means for you.
First, you have to understand the scale we're dealing with. Look at this number, $12.2 trillion. That's how much client money Charles Schwab is sitting on. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire yearly economic output of Germany and the UK combined. So yeah, this isn't just another player getting in the game. This is one of the biggest titans in finance.
So, what happens when a giant like that decides to come for crypto? For years, we've all been hearing this buzzword, institutional adoption. Well, guess what? This is what it actually looks like. We are not talking about a slow trickle anymore. We're talking about a massive floodgate swinging open. And if you don't understand what's happening, you're going to get left behind, because the crypto landscape is about to be completely redrawn.
Okay, so the big question is, why now? This didn't just happen out of the blue. Schwab has been watching from the sidelines for years, just waiting for the right signal. And that signal, well, it came directly from Washington, D.C. A couple of key regulatory changes just gave them the green light they needed.
Here's how we got here. It really came down to two major dominoes that had to fall. First, back in January 2025, the SEC got rid of this obscure but super important rule called SAB 121. Basically, it was a massive accounting headache that made it almost impossible for big regulated banks to hold crypto for their customers. With that gone, the path was suddenly a lot clearer. Then, just a few months later in July, the Genius Act got signed into law. And that created a real federal rulebook for stablecoins, the last piece of the puzzle they needed. These weren't minor tweaks, you guys. This was the regulatory foundation that Schwab had to have before they'd even think about making a move.
But here's the thing. The regulatory change is just the permission slip. The real story, the part that is an absolute game changer, isn't that Schwab is offering crypto, it's how they're doing it. And it all comes down to one simple word, integration.
Think about how you probably buy crypto now, right? It's the old way. You've got a separate app, a separate wallet, you got to worry about protecting some crazy complex seed phrase, and you're paying pretty high trading fees. It feels like this whole other kind of complicated alternative universe. Now, look at the Schwab way. Your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, it's just going to be another line item sitting right there next to your stocks and your 401k on the same dashboard. No seed phrase to worry about, super low fees. It is designed to be completely, utterly frictionless for the average person.
And who gets this new, frictionless experience? 38.9 million people. That's the number of active brokerage accounts at Schwab that will suddenly have a simple, maybe 3-click path to owning the world's biggest digital assets, all from a brand name they've trusted with their life savings for decades. That is the kind of scale we're talking about. It's just staggering.
And please, don't make the mistake of thinking this is just some passive move, like they're just adding a new feature. Schwab's own CEO, Rick Wurster, put it right out there. He said this. Now, that's not just some bland corporate talk. That is a direct shot across the bow at companies like Coinbase. He's basically saying, we're coming for your customers.
So, how exactly do you go after Coinbase's market share? Well, you use your superpower, and Schwab's superpower is starting a price war. We've seen this movie before, and they are about to run the exact same playbook in the crypto space. It's going to be brutal.
The term for this is fee compression, and Schwab are absolute masters of it. If you want to see how it works, just look back at what they did in 2019 with stock trading. They just woke up one day and dropped their trading fees to zero. Within a week, the entire industry had to follow them. See, they can do this because trading fees are just a tiny slice of their pie. They make their real money on interest, advisory services, that kind of thing. But crypto exchanges, they don't have that luxury.
And this chart right here, this is what an existential threat looks like. Right now, exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken are charging retail users somewhere around 1 to 1.5% for a trade. Schwab is projected to come in at under 0.5%. For an exchange whose entire business model pretty much lives and dies by those trading fees, well, that's a massive, massive problem.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. Let's try to boil this all down. What does this actually mean for your strategy, for how you should be thinking about the market? I've got 3 key takeaways for you.
Takeaway number 1, integration is the real revolution here. Seriously, when millions of people log in and see Bitcoin sitting right next to their 401k, it changes the psychology of the asset completely. It stops being this weird alternative thing, and it just becomes another investment option. That is how you unlock trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines.
Takeaway number 2 is simple.
Fees are in a race to the bottom. We saw it happen with stocks, and now it's crypto's turn. For you, as an investor, this is fantastic news. Cheaper trades for everyone. But for the business models of existing crypto exchanges, this is an absolute nightmare. Expect a major industry shakeout because of this.
And finally, takeaway number 3. This might be the most important one. The biggest catalysts in crypto are no longer coming from some tech genius writing a new white paper. They're coming from policy decisions being made in Washington. This entire Schwab move was made possible by regulators, not developers. So what that means is, if you want to stay ahead of the next big wave, you need to be watching the policy debates in DC just as closely as you watch the price charts.
All right, that is the breakdown. I know it's a lot to take in, but just getting your head around these massive shifts is the first step to making sure you stay ahead of the game. If you appreciate explainers like this that cut through all the hype and noise, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Coming up next, we're going to do a deep dive on that Genius Act we mentioned to figure out what it actually means for the future of stablecoins. And hey, if you found this useful, share it. Help someone else understand what's coming.
So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. With Schwab and their $12 trillion now in the game, will this be the catalyst that finally pushes Bitcoin to a new all-time high by the end of 2026? I'm really curious to see what you all think. Drop a simple yes or no down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.